Hey everybody, what's going on? I'm Fabian for Liberty. FabianForLiberty.com is my website, also FabianCalvo.me. Okay, in this video I want to talk about three pertinent points regarding why I think the global economic reset is in the works. This is in addition to the 7 points that I laid out over a year ago. As I mentioned yesterday, they're on my playlist on the global economic reset. I probably got over 100 plus emails, people asking about when the Global Economic Reset webinar is. I didn't say yesterday, but we have set the date. It's March 3rd at 5 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Eastern time. The registration link is down below if you want to attend, and it's going to be over 2 hours of breaking down in nauseating detail the points that I'm going to cover now, but about 10 points total, and then extended Q&A, however long that goes. So far, we got a lot of people joining, so that may be an hour at least of Q&A. But I'm going to try to answer all the questions, in as many questions as I can. So, okay, 3 points of what that I've been looking at. Every morning my assistant puts on my desk a stack, literally, of newspaper headlines and stories and what have you. I'd say probably half of them deal with economic news, the other half geopolitics, current events, things like that. And there's a reoccurring theme in most of these financial articles, but yet it's never discussed, I believe, in an accurate, truthful way, unless the articles are coming from some type of alternative media source. But mainstream, I think, mainstream, I know, is complicit with the Wall Street bankers in basically lying to the American public and, quite frankly, lying to the Western world about the gravity of the current financial markets, the gravity of the incredibly historic amount of debt, and the gravity of the derivative bubble that, like many other bubbles, is reaching record levels. So first, let's target European debt. Yesterday, I talked about how the Greeks, who, again, I can't believe that I'm actually cheering, almost, if you will, for a communist, this new communist government that's taken over Greece. I have no doubt whatsoever that their policies will make it even worse than it is already in Greece. But if there's one thing going that they have, it's the ability to expose the banker fraud debt, as I broke down in yesterday's video. If you missed it, you can check it out. And it's all on record. Goldman Sachs cooking the books. This is a very well-known thing. And they did this going back to the Olympics, if you recall. The tens of billions of dollars that was invested into Greece to build all these stadiums, many of which today are, literally have weeds growing all over them and are just completely like nobody goes, okay? And that made me think that recently countries that host, whether it's Brazil doing the World Cup, or these countries that are hosting the Olympics, London's doing it next year, it seems like there's this kind of link to a huge down leg in their economy when they host the Olympics. I'm just saying, it's pretty amazing. Actually, London isn't 2016. I think Brazil is 2016 for the Olympics. But anyways, the European debt, most of it's a fraud. Now, not all of it, okay? Not all of that debt is a fraud, but a lot of it is. And like I said the other day, it's like you walk into a home loan, you lie on your application, you don't have the money or you don't have the income, and you literally forge everything and make up, W-2s and all this stuff. You or I would go to prison. If you're a Wall Street banker, you get a $1 billion bonus. You see how it works? This is how the new America and really the new Western world works out. So the Greeks, who gave us King Leonidas and Thermopylae, it's almost like a Thermopylae of, the Greeks against the Wall Street banks, right? They're at that real narrow passage. They got the banksters throwing everything out of them, and they're just making that one stand. And if they can make that one stand long enough, that's going to give them the time they need. And I think that's really funny that, something that happened thousands of years ago, it's almost being played out today, not with swords and shields, but with derivatives and fraudulent debt. So this one thing, which I will break down in detail, I'll go through the countries. We have Italy, Spain, Portugal, Ireland. All of them have record amounts of debt. All of them have had the same exact thing happen to them that happened to Greece. What happens if the debt's exposed as being fraud? You could within days have almost like a debt jubilee, a debt repudiation, where the write-downs would be in the trillions of dollars collectively, that could literally cripple Wall Street overnight. So that's one point. The next point I want to make is the Russian and Chinese alliance. Now, this is nothing new. It's gone on for a while. I've been talking about it for years. But more importantly, Russia. Today, Vladimir Putin comes out and says their military is the strongest military in the world. Just recently, they had some Russian bombers that were flying just outside of UK airspace. UK scrambled some jets and basically got them out of there. There was a great article the other day, NATO and Moscow on a collision course. I've been talking about this for some time. And think about, one of the things with the world reserve currency, the dollar, is that it's not backed by anything, but it is backed. I guess it is backed by something. It's backed by the U.S. military. It's backed by the NATO agreement. If Russia is able to show how weak NATO is and how the NATO contract, where one nation must defend, one nation will defend, one nation's attacked, all the other nations will defend. If they can break that, and I believe Putin is trying to do that now, if they can show that's a fraud, then the world will be totally panicked. Not only A, looking for protection, but B, looking for some strength in numbers, if you will, and they're not going to find it in NATO anymore. This is why I think you could potentially, and Jim Willey's talked about this, see a country like Germany, maybe even France, join the BRIC nations. Here's the last one that I want to talk about, and this is I think the most obvious one for most of us that watch or read any financial news, are the multiple asset bubbles that are being inflated right now. I mean, the real estate bubble, the stock bubble, and so many others. The student loan debt bubble, which isn't an asset for the students, but it's an asset for the banksters. Point is that the biggest indicator here, if we look at the stock market, and the reason I believe we'll go to 20,000 before we have this major crash, is the record margin debt. I've talked about this before, but this is such an incredibly big point, and I can show you, which I'll show you in this webinar, how in the past this record margin debt happened in 2008, late 2007, has led directly to a major crash because you have a record amount of people, in essence, borrowing money to buy up stocks, which makes the stock market go up. Well, the bigger the margin debt, the bigger the collapse of financial markets, and the faster that collapse takes place when things begin to go sour. So these are three real important points I think that, I'll be breaking down on the webinar on March 3rd at 5 p.m. The registration link, like I said, is down below, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And I'll tell you what, personally, my gut is telling me that we still have a few years before we see this. I hope we do, because I think those 2 years are essential for people to work on becoming financially self-reliant. I think it's really, really important. But I don't know. I see these news stories developing so quickly, and that's why, as a forecaster, quite frankly, it's hard to be able to look at things and say, well, because I look at things through history. I look at everything that's happening now. I match it up to World War I, World War II, or more so World War I, or other financial downturns, going back all the way to the tulip bubble, to just all the other bubbles we've seen, most recently the big real estate bubble. And there's so many things that just match up perfectly that are able to give us an idea of where things go here in the both short and long term. So anyways, hope you enjoyed this video. Please comment, share it with your friends. I'm Fabian for Liberty, Fabian Calvo. Thanks for watching. I'm out.